fiscal cliff. Senator Pat Toomey, Republican from Pennsylvania, joins us now from Capitol Hill. Senator Toomey, welcome to Bottom Line. Thank you for your time today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Sir, while you were a member of the Budget Supercommittee, you did propose a combination of tax increases and spending cuts to bring down the deficit. Now you say that you don't want a tax increase, in your words, if there's any other way to reach a deal. What changed?
Well, the fact is a lot has changed. Unfortunately, my Democratic colleagues weren't willing to meet us halfway when we put that proposal on the table. And now we have a really stunning position from the Democratic leadership in the Senate, Patty Murray most especially, but generally speaking, the Democrats' position now is, let's go over the cliff. Specifically, they want to go to this process of raising taxes on everyone. As you just pointed out, the White House has indicated the additional tax burden on working class Americans. CBO has said that will cause a recession and it will result in at least 700,000 jobs lost. So it's stunning to me that their position is, let's cause that to happen. I think that's a huge mistake. What I think we ought to do is extend the current rates for at least a year and use that time to enact the pro-growth tax reform that I've been advocating from the beginning. I think that makes much more sense for our country, for our economy.
Yes.
And I still think there's a chance we could do it.
Well, Senator, as you well know, during the debt ceiling debate, Democrats accused Republicans of the same thing, willing to let the nation's good faith and credit, if you will, go over a cliff by not paying bills we were obligated to pay. So where's the bottom line here? Where is the common ground between you and your Democratic colleagues? Can some sort of deal be reached before the election?
I don't know. The Democrats walked away from the table when I and my Republican colleagues on the super committee offered to meet them halfway, putting revenue on the table, asking for the most modest spending cuts. Unfortunately, they wouldn't agree to any spending cuts without a $1 trillion tax increase. And frankly, they've never been willing to have a substantive discussion about what's really driving our deficit problem, which is the big entitlement programs.
Yeah,
the latest message from them that we should go over the cliff is not very encouraging, that we can work something out.
Senator, you say no spending cuts from the Democrats, but they say no tax increases from the Republicans. So again, where do we stand?
Well, okay, but that's obviously factually untrue, right? The record is very clear. We put on the table a proposal that included new revenue. That's just a matter of objective fact and history. They have not been willing. I mean, other than Ron Wyden, who I give a great deal of credit to, I would love to know of any single Democrat in the Senate that has proposed any meaningful reform of any of the entitlement programs. Senator, it doesn't exist.
Senator, if this isn't nailed down before the end of the year, isn't there a good chance that consumers and businesses will slow down spending because they're just not sure of the tax implications they might face?
I think that's been happening all year long and before that. The combination of the threat of a huge tax increase, which the Democrats now are openly advocating, the threat of a fiscal crisis from the deficits that we're running, the massive overregulation, I think is having a chilling effect on our economy. I do think there are a number of Democrats who accept, as Bill Clinton acknowledged at one point, we should just extend the current rates, not have this disaster occur. So I'm still hopeful that we can cobble together the votes. And of course, as you know, President Obama and a bipartisan coalition extended these rates 2 years ago, at a time when the economy was in better shape than it is today.
Senator, is Simpson-Bowles still the template?
You know, I don't know. This Bowles-Simpson agreement provided some, I should say, proposal provided some useful ideas. I modeled some of the proposals in the super committee offer that I made after the Bowles-Simpson recommendations, but it didn't have a lot of specificity. So I think it's a very useful way to inform our discussion. But frankly, at this rate, it looks like we're going to need an election to provide more guidance from the voters.
Senator, we have about a minute left. Last week, Bob Buckhorn, the mayor of Tampa, Florida, was here on this broadcast, and he told me, quote, there are solutions for all of these problems. If you had statesmen, that's what we're missing is statesmen. That's a pretty damning indictment that you and your colleagues won't work together. You won't compromise for the good of the nation. Is there any area in which you and your Democratic colleagues can get a deal done now?
Well, you can ask the Democrats who walked away from the offer that we put on the table, the offer that met them halfway, that offered the revenue they said they needed, offered to make the tax code more progressive, offered the most modest spending cuts and those which had already been tentatively supported on both sides, and they walked away from the table. This is frustrating. On our side, we have offered comprehensive budget resolutions, comprehensive reforms of the entitlement program and tax reform, and we get silence and no votes from the other side. So we'll keep trying. I'm not going to give up, but I wish I could tell you I was optimistic.
Senator Pat Toomey, Republican from Pennsylvania, joining us from Capitol Hill. Senator Toomey, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Breaking news.